Okay, setting a proper motivation which consists of 3 parts. Refuge field, what to visualize and how to visualize. What do you visualize? Visualize Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and all the enlightened beings in front. Yeah, it's working. Can you hear me? Particularly a Manjushri who is very closely connected with the author of the text, Bodhisattvacharyāvatāra, and likewise Ara Maitreya, Ara Bodhisattvacharyāvatāra, Ara Vajrapani, Ara Thara, and the Arya Kishidegarpa, and all the enlightened beings. And then Indian masters such as Aranigarjuna, the Arideva Buddhapalita, Acharya Chandrakirti, and Bodhisattvacharyāvatāra, and the incredibly enlightened Chinese the masters such as Xuanzang, I Ching, and so forth, and in the Tibetan tradition, Guru Padmasambhava, Sajja Kunyingbu, Sajja Pandita, the great Saint Tilopa, great Saint Naropa, Jesu Marba, Jesu Mila, Thakpul, Jesu Thakpulachi, then at Lamasungapa, Gilzarumbushi, Kidrumbushi. And more importantly, how to visualize them. They are like a very affectionate parents. And imagine you come home demoralized, and they are there to give full of affection, attention, and embrace. Next, Bodhisattva field. Again, what to visualize and how to visualize. What to visualize. Your two parents on the two sides. Even though you might have difficulty with your parents, it doesn't matter. So what we're trying to do here is to the best we can, on the basis of this incredibly great treasure of the Bodhisattvacharyāvatāra, we're trying to transcend the ordinary people's thinking, and how we feel conflict with another person is all the indication of our being ordinary person. So given that what we're doing here is to attempting to transcend the ordinariness, ordinary thinking, so therefore visualize your two parents on the two sides, and all your family members, including your children around you, and all the sentient beings around you, everyone here in Singapore, the human beings, animals, insects, the celestial beings, the spirits, the hungry ghosts, hell being of this world, of the Milky Way galaxy, and of all the world systems in this universe, that no one is left behind. And how you visualize them. Here you are the mother, and all others are like your children. Imagine they come home demoralized, and you are there to give full love, affection, attention, and embrace. And you are leading them, and everyone is so happily joining you in this journey of identifying, discovering this incredibly precious Buddha nature within yourself, and to take yourself and to take everyone away from the fears of samsara towards the ultimate happiness of enlightenment. With that in mind, let's turn to page 2 of the prayer book. And here's by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I bear homage. And here's by great Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I bear homage. And here's by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. In dependent origination, there is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence, no going, no separateness, and no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate yoga from all teachers, the one who taught this peace, which is the freedom of liberations. I prostrate to the mothers of the Buddhas and of the hearers and Bodhisattvas, who through the knowledge of all these seek pacification, complete peace, who through the knowledge of past causes was helping migrate to the aims of the world, and through possession of omniscience, the subduer set forth the varieties having all aspects. The one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings, the teacher, Sugata and protector, to you I make restorations. The one who has eliminated the web of conceptualizations and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally shines forth the forever noble life rays, to you the Buddha I make restoration. Okay, as we recite this mantra, we have to bring to our mind the meaning of the mantra. All phenomena arise from causes, meaning that all phenomena, particularly the phenomena of suffering which we go through, the tension, stress, anxiety, conflicts, and the pains, fear, they all arise from causes. They don't arise randomly. They all arise from causes. And what are the causes? They are taught by the Tathagata, they are taught by the Buddha, in the form of the immediate cause of all the sufferings, is in the form of contaminated karmas, and the contaminated karmas give rise to bad afflictions, such as attachment, anger, jealousy, and so forth, and they in turn arise from the ignorance. So finally we see that all the miseries, the fear, the tension, depression, and so forth, they are rooted to what is known as the self-grasping ignorance. So this being the case, how to get rid of this suffering, how to get rid of all these problems is by getting rid of the cause of suffering, by getting rid of the self-grasping ignorance. And keep in mind that there are two things. Self-grasping ignorance is like the ignorance which creates the dream for us. So we don't choose the dream. We don't choose the dream. Dream somehow is created by some factors. So that factor which finally creates the dream is the ignorance which gives us a very false impression that whatever comes to your dream is so real. While it is not real, they are created as so real by the ignorance of the dream. So this is the job of the ignorance. Ignorance creates the content of the dream as so real. Then the self-centered attitude plays on this. Self-grasping ignorance creates the dream as so real. Then the self-centered attitude goes to choose. I like this, I don't like this, I'm afraid of this, I want this. So self-centered attitude then goes to choose what you like and goes to get rid of what you dislike. So in the process, what you like, you go to get it, you don't get it, then so much dissatisfaction, anger, and so forth arises. And whereas what you dislike, you try to run away, you cannot run away, and so much of fear arises. So this action of the self-centered, self-grasping ignorance creates a dream, and self-centered attitude then plays on it. So these two combine together, then all the afflictions, attachment, anger, jealousy, and the fear, anxiety, stress, tension, all arise because of the combination of these two things acting on us. So therefore, the point is knowing that these two are the ultimate causes of all our problems, all our miseries, then we need to know how to get rid of these miseries, how to get rid of these causes, instead of blaming outside. And of course, we need to take care of the external factors to the best you can, see how much you can avert the external factors. But at the meanwhile, keep in mind that external factors, no matter how much I try, I cannot get rid of the external factors completely. So it is only through eliminating the internal factors, like the two hands, the one hand, the internal factor, you remove this, that external factor, however strong it is, the sound of the misery stops. So likewise, internal factors is something that I need to get rid of. This is what the Buddha taught. Te hevatat desham chayo nirodha evam vadi ma shramane. So the cessation of the causes as well is about the great seer. How to bring an end, how to bring the cessation of the causes, how to bring an end to the self-grasping ignorance and self-centered attitude is also taught by the Tathagata, the great seer. How? Wisdom of emptiness to counteract the self-grasping ignorance, and the bodhicitta, the unconditional love of bodhicitta to counteract the self-centered attitude. This is the main teaching of the Buddha. If somehow our mind is turning closer to these two things, wisdom of emptiness and bodhicitta, you are in the right track. And you are in the proper track of the Buddha's teaching. And how you can know this is that your mind becomes happier, 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 happier. And then external factors will affect you less, less, less. You become more and more independent. Your mind becomes very calm, peaceful. If that is happening, usually what happens, as one ages, then we tend to miss the youth. But now, with this bodhicitta, the wisdom of emptiness that you are practicing, if you are practicing on a daily basis, then as you age, you become happier and happier and happier. Instead, you'll be feeling so happy that, okay, now I'm 50 years old as compared to 30 years old. In terms of bodhicitta, in terms of wisdom and emptiness, I can see that I'm more matured in these two things. And mentally, I feel more calm, less agitated, irritated. So this is what is happening. So this, if is happening to you, you are in a proper track. Whereas in the facade of being in a dharma, and if your mind becomes more and more unhappy, which means that we're not turning towards dharma, we're instead going away from dharma. Okay, this is how we need to recite this mantra. But this mantra should be actually like a reminder for us, not only for you, for me also. Whenever I recite this mantra, it is just a reminder for me that, okay, look, I have to take steps. Day one we discussed, I have to take some steps of dharma in whatever capacity. Say like reading one book, one page a day, reading one stanza a day on the wisdom of emptiness, so forth. We have to take some steps, right? And it doesn't mean that you say, you follow a dharma, you follow TBC, ABC, then the next day you're very divine. Don't expect that. Don't expect that. If somebody expects that from you and say that, why are you going to TBC? Why are you going for ABC? Right? You are the same person, same short-tempered, which means that the person who says this is expecting you overnight change. That person does not know how difficult it is to follow the dharma. Even it takes years and years. Even to complete PhD, it's not just an overnight job. And to achieve enlightenment, that is even more difficult than achieving PhD, right? So therefore, the point is that as long as from your side, you see progress is happening, that's good. Don't expect overnight change. Don't expect overnight, say, the transformation, right? As long as there's a transformation taking place, progress taking place, that is good. This mantra, if possible, recite it on a daily basis, and say when you are in the MRT, when you're in a car, when you are just walking, taking a walk, around the park, whatever you're doing, and say you can recite this mantra and be reminded of, okay, finally, I should be a happier and happier and happier person. Right? Okay, so with this mind, let's recite it 3 times. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum deshan tathagato yavatat desham chayo nirodha Mahashramanaye Swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum teshan tathagato yavatat desham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetum teshan tathagato yavato nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of the causes as well is taught by the great seer. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations or practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations or the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I chant the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. Diyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhisattvacharyāvatāra Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhisattvacharyāvatāra Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhisattvacharyāvatāra. Okay, we are on page 3. Stanza 11. After completing this section, then we come to the section which is a very important section on the dialogue, or more like the debate between the Prasangikas and the other schools pertaining to the understanding of emptiness. What constitutes the understanding of emptiness? Or in other words, what constitutes the meaning of the selflessness, or the meaning of the emptiness, which is required, the understanding which is required to achieve liberation. In other words, the purpose is to become enlightened, become the first. One purpose is to achieve freedom from samsara, and one is to achieve enlightenment. So in both cases, and the Prasangika is saying that you must experience, maybe the battery down. I see. Okay, the Prasangikas, what they're saying is that for any of these two goals, whether Buddhahood whether Buddhahood or personal nirvana, in both cases, to get out of samsara, and to achieve Buddhahood, or to get out of samsara, we must have the experience of the emptiness of objective existence. Whereas the lower schools, they are saying that it's not necessary to achieve just nirvana. One does not require to see the emptiness of objective. This is a very serious discussion. And so seeing to the weight, seeing to the gravity of this discussion within those two schools, say in Nalanda Monastery University, and of course in the Vikramashila University and Takshashila University and Uttantapura University, in the various monastery universities in India in those days, this was such a heated, there was such gravity there pertaining to this debate between the two schools. saying, and this is a very serious discussion. It's not just it's not just intellectual exercise. It has something to do with your own freedom, getting freedom from the fears of life. So one saying that if you don't understand the emptiness of objective existence, you cannot get rid of fear of samsara altogether. And everyone, whether you are Prasangika, whether you're lower schools, whether you're Buddhist, non-Buddhist, whether you're girl, boys, whatever, whoever you are, we all want to get rid of fear. And if to get rid of fear, without the wisdom of emptiness, without the wisdom to see the emptiness of objective existence, and the fear cannot be gotten rid of altogether, we will be constantly being trapped in samsara. It's very scary. So this debate is not just debate for to be just as an intellectual inquiry debate amongst the scholars, but it is so relevant. It is the right thing related to our own, the aspiration to achieve freedom from the suffering of samsara. Okay, so that part is very important. Then after that, the two sections, one on explaining the self-same, when you speak about, how the emotions arise within us, disturbing emotions, attachment, anger, jealousy, fear, and the tension, depression, how these arise is when we interact with the world, right? When we interact with the world, and then if the world comes out to be as intended by you, you're very happy, then attachment arises. When it does not arise, when the world does not turn out to be the way you expected, in fact, totally against, opposite to what you expect, then fear arises, right? Aversion arises. Okay, this is how the negative emotions arise. Finally, the negative emotions, they give rise to, first of all, the very presence of negative emotions, they create disturbance in the mind. They disrupt the peace of mind, right? One. Number two, then, in the long run, the negative emotions, they trigger to accumulate negative karmas within us. And negative karmas, they then trap us, they bound us in samsara in the form of miseries. Okay, this is how the negative emotions, they harm us. Now the negative emotions, when do they arise? Is when we as a person, when I as a person interacts with the world outside. Right? Only when we interact with the world outside, then the negative emotions arise. Okay, world outside does not necessarily always mean just outside. Even your body, oh, my body is very clean, others' body, they're very dirty, right? And they say, I'm very important, others are not. So therefore, your mind, or you as the person, interacts with any object. Generally speaking, the phenomena outside, the phenomena other than the self. So when we interact with the world of the phenomena, then the miseries, the negative emotions arise. Okay, so with this, we see that say in the dream, in actuality, in the dream also we have negative emotions, right? How many of you in your dream you have fought with your neighbors? Right? We fought amongst the family members. If not really fought, then at least completely, the word fight, right? Huh? Fought with the devil. Okay, so don't consider the other person as a devil. Okay, so the point is that even in dream we fight, we crave after things, all these emotions arise. So how? In the dream, so first the dream is created. When the dream is created, that is the phenomena with which I'm going to interact now in the dream. Right? And then in the process you see a ghost, then it gives you fear. When you see a cheesecake, it attracts you, right? Okay, so see, there's a dream. It's a dream. First, the dream is created, and then you start reacting. Okay, look, this dream is not really real, but the ignorant mind, imprint of the dreaming mind, that creates this dream. So it creates something which is not real as real. Then our mind plays on it. Then we choose, oh, cheesecake, you go after this. right? Or the ghost, you run away from it. That's actually there's no ghost, there's no cheesecake in the dream, whatever in the dream, it's just your dream. But you don't see that as dream. That then affects you. Attachment, aversion, all these emotions arise. You're getting it? Okay, so there what happens is that how to get rid of this, the emotions, negative emotions in the dream, how to get rid of these? Either you see the dream objects, the cheesecake, dream cheesecake, or the dream ghost as not real. The phenomena with which you interact as not real. So that is known as the selflessness of phenomena. And then you are actually not awake. You're actually fast asleep. But you see, you misconceive yourself as fully awake, right? Fully awake and going here and there, running away from the what? The dream goes and chasing after the cheesecake, right? So actually there is no one who is running after like this. It's your mind which creates this false sense of I in the dream. Someone who is awakened, someone who is chasing after the cheesecake, and someone who is running away from the ghost. You create that. So the selflessness of phenomena, the cheesecake and the ghost, right? That they are not real. Likewise, you who's running, and so forth, this is also not real. Selflessness of phenomena and selflessness of person. You're getting it? Okay, if you know that in the dream, whatever I'm dreaming, that's just my dream. They are not real. You see the selflessness of the phenomena. And then you realize that even this I'm actually in a bed, sleeping, right? I'm not really awake. So this is my dream. You see that this I who is woken up, this is also a dream. It's not really true. You see the selflessness of person. You're getting it? Selflessness of phenomena, selflessness of person. Okay. Selflessness meaning the selflessness in the context of no objective self. No objective self. No objective self of the phenomena, no objective self of the person. Selflessness. Otherwise, people oftentimes they have a wrong understanding. Oh, the Buddha taught selflessness. There is no self. This is the wrong interpretation. What do we have to say? When the Buddha taught selflessness, it means no selflessness, meaning no objective self. No objective self, selflessness of phenomena, no objective self of phenomena, no objective self of person, right? And this word self, this self, oftentimes we interpret self to understand the person, right? Oftentimes we interpret the self to mean the person, but it's not necessary. When we say that, oh, this flower, this is not an imaginary flower, it exists from itself. This flower exists from itself. Even in a vernacular language, we use the word self associated with the flower. The flower, it exists from itself. The flower grows by itself. Right? Itself. We use this word self pertaining to the object also, not only with the person. So therefore, the selflessness of phenomena and the selflessness of person. Meaning, what is meant by selflessness of phenomena? Meaning that no objective self of the phenomena. In other words, no objective existence of the phenomena. No objective existence of the phenomena and no objective existence of the person. You getting it? Okay, this is what we need to know. So at the end of this, then the explanation on explaining the selflessness of phenomena and the explanation of the selflessness of the person. So pertaining to the selflessness of the person, explaining selflessness of the person, then the Bodhisattvacharyāvatāra is going to go deep into the Buddhist philosophical tenet systems. We're going to reject these philosophical systems. So they are more like intellectual. I will give the summary gist of what is being rejected. We may not go into the details, right? So this will save us much time. And then we go to the selflessness of the phenomena. That is fine. We do that. And even with the selflessness of phenomena, there's a little section on the rejecting the non-Buddhist philosophical positions. Even that also, where we will do a summary of them, we'll do them in the form of summary and then skip the details. Then at the end, the purpose of realizing emptiness. what is the purpose, what is the benefit if you realize emptiness, right? And this is the greatest benefit. First thing that we want is, right? First thing that we want is we want to get rid of our fears. When our fear is gone, only then we can think of expanding our happiness. Two things, right? So, with the wisdom of emptiness, finally we see that whether for your personal liberation or for achieving Buddhahood for all sentient beings, in both cases, the wisdom of emptiness is indispensably required. Without which, there's no way by which we can forget about achieving Buddhahood. Even to achieve personal liberation is not possible. So with that in mind, what we need to keep in mind is that in this world, say 7 billion human beings, forget about, let alone all these tiny insects, the animals, all the trillions and trillions of the sentient beings there, even the human beings, 7 billion human beings, how many of them have actually heard about the Buddha Shakyamuni? Buddha Shakyamuni's teachings, so less. And from those people who they heard about the Buddha Shakyamuni's teaching, how many of them actually follow? So less. Those who follow the Buddha Shakyamuni's teachings, right, say the falling under the category of the Theravada Buddhism, Mahayana Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, whatever, what you're following, just see how many of people are actually studying emptiness, right? Actually studying emptiness, reflecting on emptiness, and meditating on Buddha is really handful of the people. So therefore, each one of us who are getting this opportunity to study this text, including myself, this text by the great enlightened being, Bodhisattvacharyāvatāra, organized by TBC, we are all very fortunate. We are very fortunate. Okay, so why not we take a sense of, say, in the end of this text, then the Bodhisattvacharyāvatāra prayed that the people following the path, following the correct path is so less. This is what the Bodhisattvacharyāvatāra said. And then he prayed that through all my merit, accumulation merit, may I be able to reveal this teaching on the wisdom of emptiness so that the people can be woken up from the sleep of ignorance, so that they will be freed from the fears created in the dream of self-grasping ignorance. Right? So this is a prayer which he said. So we will all follow his footsteps, pretend with that. Okay, so with that in mind, and then what I made casually also suggest is that since that we are somehow connected with this teaching on the emptiness in more detail, I would suggest that should you ever encounter with other people, why not we also encourage others to study emptiness? Whatever little experience, whatever little understanding that you have on that basis, you may encourage them to study emptiness, right? Okay. And everyone, it is irrespective of what degree of intelligence that one has, if you attempt like 3 times, right? For sure, you will get, say, some degree of understanding of the emptiness. And then on that basis, you see that, of course, in your next life, the connection with the wisdom of emptiness is going to be very intense, right? This is so precious. See how much you can encourage others, inspire others also to just plunge into this, the wisdom of emptiness. Okay, with that in mind, page 3, stanza 11. So the last time we were doing the 5 points, 4 points. We were done with the point number 2. Now we are doing the point number 3. Point number 3 is what? Refuting the absurdity pertaining to distinguishing virtues and non-virtues, right? Distinguishing virtues and non-virtues. Okay. So now and if you feel, okay, this is too intellectual, right? Don't worry. While you are here in the class, just listen to it, and then after that, even if it disappears, it doesn't matter, right? So with this, you listen to it. At least that while you're listening, your mind is receptive. Your mind is receptive to what is being discussed. You're getting it? Otherwise you feel the heaviness, okay, I'm a perfectionist, right? If you have this feeling, I'm a perfectionist, without finishing the first part so well, then I don't want to go to the second part, then you feel so stressed, crunched. Okay, if that happens, just take it in a very relaxed way, right? Okay, here I'll just listen to him. Then after this, when I take the dinner, if it disappears, it doesn't matter. Let it, disappear. Okay, meanwhile, what happens with this relaxed feeling, then you will imbibe. When you are in stress, right? You're in stress, then the receptivity is closed. You getting it? Okay. With this in mind, now the point is that, again, the discussion that, say, the Prasangikas and the non-Prasangikas. Non-Prasangikas, oh, by the way, what are the 4 schools? Vaibhashika, Sautrantrika, Chittamatra, Madhyamika. I think those people who are saying this, they are the other than the Northern Masters course also. Right? Okay, yeah. So this is something which we have to have. Once you have these things, these are something which come so often. We repeat them so often. So therefore you will not get lost. Okay. Then the Madhyamika, there are 2. What are they? Prasangika Madhyamik and Svatantrika Madhyamik 2. Now Prasangika, oftentimes what we do is that Prasangika we keep in one camp, and the rest of the Buddhist philosophical schools we keep as another camps, 2 camps. Generally speaking, not always the case, we have to contextualize, right? In this context, in most contexts, Svatantrika Madhyamika Prasangika as one camp, and the rest in the second camp. So the debates are oftentimes happening between these 2. So what the others, the second camp, lower schools, they are arguing against Prasangika, is that if nothing exists objectively, then everything should exist subjectively. If everything exists subjectively, then everything becomes like imaginary. Right? If everything becomes imaginary, you do good things, virtues, and you bad things, non-virtues. What's the difference? Right? If I say, okay, now imagine that you become enlightened now. You become a Buddha now. Imagine that. You can imagine it is imaginary Buddha. Right? Now I imagine you are the Hitler. The worst of the person, right? Any person that you can think of, the worst of the person, you imagine that. Right? So, it's just imaginary. So, if that is purely subjective, then it becomes like imaginary. This is what the second camp is telling you. Right? Telling you. If it is purely subjective, it becomes like imaginary. Imaginary, there's no difference between what is virtue, what is non-virtue. Imaginary. Right? Okay, then how can you distinguish what is virtue and what is non-virtue? Because the Buddha's teachings is grounded on a very solid ground that accumulate as great wealth of virtues and commit no evil. This is the Buddha's teaching. Commit no evil. Accumulate as great wealth of virtues as possible. Tame your mind. This is the teaching of the Buddha. This is what the Buddha said. So the Buddha's teaching is grounded with a solid ground that we have to accumulate virtues and we have to eradicate the evils. But if the virtue and evil, they are all just imaginary, there's no difference. Okay. So it says 11, in murdering and so forth of an illusory person, there is no negativity, since it has no mind. But with someone having an illusory mind, positive and negative forces accrue. Okay, this is a response given by Prasangika, and a question asked by the lower schools, argument proposed by the lower schools, that is implicitly mentioned there, and what's explicitly mentioned there in this stanza is the response given by the Prasangika. Okay, now let's say that if everything is like imaginary, then the things become like dream, not dream-like. Things become, there's no difference between the dream and what's real. If there's no difference, then in the dream, we dream of, say, actually you're murdering someone and the person dies in the dream, right? So is there a difference between this act of you engaging in murdering of somebody else in the dream and actually murdering in the real life? Is there a difference? Big difference, right? Engaging murdering in the real life, you will be imprisoned. Engaging murdering in the dream, you will not be imprisoned, right? And on top of that, but it's in the negativity which that you accumulate by actually murdering someone in real life, that negativity is so intense, full-fledged negativity. Whereas the one that you do in the dream, it was not a full-fledged negativity, right? Okay, so the answer given is that yes, there is a difference. What difference? Hey, what is it different? Which difference? You are prasangikas, right? What difference? Say, act of murdering in the dream and act of murdering in the real life. Is there a difference or not? Yes. So why this question is put forth against prasangika is because for the prasangikas saying that nothing exists objectively. Act of murdering also does not exist objectively. You are getting it? Okay. So prasangika answers that yes, there's a difference between act of murdering in the real life meaning not the waking state, and act of murdering in the dream state. There is a difference. Act of murdering in the real state, this is dream-like, this is not dream. Act of murdering in the dream is not a dream-like, it's actually dream. Okay, there's a difference. What difference? In murdering and so forth of an illusory person meaning in the dream you kill someone, or magically a magician create an illusory person and you go to murder that person, there is no negativity. There's no negativity meanings, there is no full-fledged negativity. There is negativity, hey, right? If you go in the dream, if you try to fight with someone and kill somebody else, right, there's anger within you. Negativity is there, but negativity that you accumulate in the dream is much less than what you accumulate in the daytime. Right? We have to make distinction. Negativity is there. Why it is said there's no negativity? There's no full-fledged negativity. Full-fledged negativity, the way you accumulate otherwise in the waking state. Okay. Since, why killing somebody in the dream, or why killing somebody, the illusory person, there is no full-fledged negativity, is because that person that you kill, he or she does not have mind. Because mind is the one which feels the pain. So nobody actually felt the pain. But with someone having an illusory mind, but if somebody has the mind, from your point of view, you, who you? Okay, I'm just wondering who you are. Who? Followers of prasangika. Followers of prasangika would say that everything is like illusion. Everything is like illusion. So we have the mind, but what is this mind? A subjective mind or objective mind? Subjectively existent. Everything is subjectively existent, right? Subjectively existent mind, which is like illusion. So somebody having illusory mind, meaning that a mind which is subjectively real, that is a mind. This is a mind. Because this person is a mind, then when you act something, do something good, positive, full-fledged positive karma is accumulated. If you do something negative, full-fledged negative karma is accumulated. You getting it? Okay, tell me. Okay, I want somebody to give me the answer. Say, you are prasangika, and then you said that everything exists. Everything exists or not? Hey, don't be afraid. Everything exists or not? Yes, everything exists. If you say no, then you are not prasangika, right? You are nihilist. You become nihilist. If you say no, everything does not exist, nothing exists, you fall into nihilism, right? So first question, do everything exist? Yes. When you say yes, you don't fall into nihilism. Then the second question arises, if things exist, do things exist objectively? What's the answer? No. Okay, when you say no to the second question, only then you go into the track of the emptiness. If you say no to the first question, you go into nihilism, not into emptiness. Okay, well, this is my question to you, is that if somebody kills, okay, what is the difference between these two things? Somebody okay, So let's not say kill, let's say hurt. Somebody hurts someone in the dream, somebody hurts someone in the real life. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? Yes. Okay. From your point of view, who you? Prasanga. From your point of view, these two things, person A and person B, right? Person A hurting someone in the dream. Person B hurting someone in the real life, waking state. Person A and person B hurting someone there, either in the dream person or the real person. So these two both are similar in existing subjectively. Yes? No? Yes? No? Yes. So both are same in being subjectively real. If both are being same and subjectively real, both are imaginary. Yes? No? Huh? Very scared, Prasangika. Acharya Chandraguru Swami is very different. Prasanga is very confident, right? So here Singapore's Prasangikas, they are a little scared. Right? Okay. Both are subjectively real. Yes, no? Yes. Good. Both are imaginary. Yes, no? Because they are subjectively real. Subjective means your thoughts. Right? No. How no? How no? How no? Okay. Both. So which means that which of the two accumulates more the negative karma? Huh? Or the one who killed the person in real life, in the waking state, that accumulate more karma. But that karma is also subjectively real, right? That karma that accumulated, that is subjectively real. Subjectively real means it's not objectively real. Objectively is not real, right? Hey. Huh? Objectively is not real. The karma that the second person accumulated by killing the person in real life, in the waking state, their karma accumulated is just subjectively real, right? It's not subjectively. It's not. Okay. Wow. It is like, I remember in a monastery, a teacher and a student. The teachers are in Nagarjuna. Right? Same. And the students so young. And the decision has to be taken. Right? And the monks, they split into two. Some say yes, some say no. And the student doesn't know. This young student doesn't know where to say. And the student also equally has a say. Right? Who like vote. So the student was just watching the teacher. What the teacher is saying, right? Teacher said no, the student said no. How no? The student has no clue. So like, subjectively real? Yes. Objectively real? Not sure. Right? Okay. So then what? Listen to teacher. And the teacher said, the ultimate analysis. Right? Then the students ultimate analysis. Okay. Anyway, that's amazing. Wonderful. This is a strange prasangika. Okay, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay. So now the point is, the point is that although both are illusion-like, both are same in being illusion-like, both are same in being subjectively real, but the same killing an animal, killing another person in the dream, the negativity is much less. It's not the actual negativity as compared to the killing of the person or hurting a person in the real life. Why? What's the difference? Hurting a real life, that person has a mind. Although the mind is subjectively real, still there's a subjective mind. Whereas in the dream person, the person does not have the mind, does not have this subjective mind. You're getting this distinction made by Bodhisattvacharyāvatāra. Okay, good. From this, Bodhisattvacharyāvatāra is saying that this argument that if everything is subjectively real, then everything should be imaginary. If everything is imaginary, then the distinction between what is virtue, what is non-virtue is not visible. The debate given by the other schools does not hold true. It's not at all strong enough. Bodhisattva gave the response there. Okay, the next 12. Stanza 12. Now he is continuing with the in the non-dream, although dream-like but not dream, waking state. When you hurt someone, that person has a mind, right? And whereas in the second case there is no in the dream there's no mind. Oh, in the dream you do not have a mind. The perpetrator does not have a mind. The one who hurt the other person, in the dream he does not have a mind. He has mind. In the waking state also has a mind. So Bodhisattvacharyāvatāra made the distinction by having mind, no mind. Different state. Different state, which means in the dream state there is no mind. There is. So he said that there is not a mind. He said, but with someone having an illusory mind, therefore there is no negativity since it has no mind. In the dream there is no mind. But with someone having an illusory mind, with the mind, positive and negative forces accrue. Right? So in the dream there is no mind. Wow, this is real prasangika. Okay, thank you. So within the dream, you see that there are two things. One is the person dreamt and the dreaming, the person who's dreaming, the dreamer, right? The dreamer has a mind. We are not talking about the dreamer. We are talking about the person who is hurt, person who was hurt, who was injured. That you injuring the person in the dream, that person does not have mind. Whereas in the waking state, when you hurt someone, that person has a mind, right? Okay, so if we cannot distinguish, right, the two persons within the dreaming, dreamt and the dreamer, if you cannot distinguish the two things, emptiness is far, far, far away. And prasangika, far, far, far away. Even if we say prasangika, big label, right? Far, far away. Okay, so therefore, look, right? It is so, all these studies are so precious. These teach us how to make our mind very sharp, to see the nuances, the different angles, how Lynette, so they capture things very distinctly, very confidently. Within that, there are two things. One the object, one the subject. The dreamer is the subject. And the one who is hurt is the object in this case. So the one who is hurt, the object does not have mind in the dream. Outside the dream, in the waking state, the person that you hurt as the object has a mind. You're getting it? These distinctions. Okay, so therefore these studies are so important. You're getting it? Only if we go through these studies, like teasing apart these nuances, then we see that emptiness there's a great hope for the emptiness. So therefore, ideally speaking, somebody who has a modern education, and be doing computational science and so forth, so they have a special benefit. And then the one who has the greatest benefit is actually studying the text. Who are they? Who are these people who are actually studying this text? They have the greatest benefit. Who are they? Us. So therefore, study this text. This is not only this, Acharya Chandrakirti's text, Acharya Dharmakirti's text, Nagarjuna's text. We are all very, very lucky. So we are directly trying to grab better emptiness. You're getting it? This is so precious. Okay. With this mind 12, because mantras and so forth lack the ability, cannot produce the mind in an illusion. So say the dream person, and the illusory person, say the magician, say I'm the magician, I create a demon, and you're so angry again, angry with this demon, right? Angry with this demon, you try to hurt the demon. So this demon is not actually a demon, it's just an illusion which I created, which the magician created, right? So now I can create this the illusory demon, but with this magical mantras and so forth, I cannot create a mind. Mind should necessarily come from the preceding moment. You're getting it? Cannot be just newly created by a magician. So it says, because mantras and so forth lack the ability to create mind, therefore they cannot produce the mind in an illusion. Right? So therefore, even if you kill or hurt the magical person, you are not actually accumulating the actual negativity of killing a person, because this material person does not have a mind. Why? Mind is something which the magician cannot create. Mind is something that should come from the previous life, not from, yes.
Why is the mind of the object so important? I thought it's more of the mind of the subject.
Okay, so
intention is more important, right?
Very good, very good. Okay. This is the same. And now, okay, say how much negativity I accumulate, how much negativity a person accumulates. That depends on not just one factor. It depends on so many factors. So this is where we really need to think more about dependent origination. Things come into being by dependence on multiple factors. This house is so beautiful. This house is so beautiful. Which means this house is made of many parts, multiple parts. All the multiple parts will be beautiful, right? So just one part is beautiful, you cannot say this house is beautiful. Likewise, say the intensity of the negative karma is determined by not only your own motivation. It is determined by 4 factors. Object, right? If the object is, say for example, say if somebody steals from somebody who is so poor, say somebody steals $100 from somebody who is so poor, and he steals from a billionaire, right? Steals from a billionaire, it doesn't really matter. We're stealing from somebody who's so poor, right? There, the consequence is much more. The pain is much more on the part of the object. So the object makes a very important difference. Object is one factor. Then your motivation, number 2. What you said, the motivation, that makes a difference, number 2. Then number 3, your action. Your action. For example, say the generosity. Let's say generosity. Okay, the person A is supposed to be practicing generosity, giving the sweets, then you throw the sweet, right? Throw the sweet out of disrespect. You give it, but out of disrespect. You give it with respect. There are 2 ways of giving. So the action, the gesture, action, how you engage in the action, number 3. Then number 4, result, end result. End result, you rejoice in the negativity. Negativity is very intense. You regret over the negativity. Negativity is less intense. You rejoice over the virtue. Virtue is very intense. You regret over the virtues. Your virtue is nullified, right? It becomes weak. Okay, so therefore, there are 3 factors, not only 1 factor. Okay, with this, 12. Because mantras and so forth lack the ability, they cannot produce the mind in an illusion. Even the illusory ones that arise from varying conditions are of varying kinds. Even this illusion arises out of numerous conditions. It's not just one factor, not just the magician. Magician requires other things also, like the mantras, like the substance, and so forth. It needs many factors. Even illusory ones that arise from varying conditions are of varying kinds. So, by dependence on numerous factors, even the illusion has so many aspects. Okay, since nowhere is there one condition with the ability to produce all, since again even illusory ones that arise from varying conditions are of varying kinds, meaning that even in the reality we see the difference, right? The difference. Everyone is different. Right? Physically, emotionally, mentally. Very different. And what are the causes? Causes should be different. If the causes are all identical, we all should be identical. Right? So, because the causes are different, the results that we see is just multiple. So from this, what we come to know is that no one factor can give rise to things. Since nowhere is there one condition with the ability to produce all phenomena. So everything comes to being by multiple factors. Okay, 13. Okay, 13 is what? The next point. Next point is refuting the absurdity pertaining to the distinguishing between nirvana and samsara, right? Refuting the absurdity pertaining to the distinguishing of nirvana and samsara. Now what they are saying is that if everything is subjectively real, if nothing exists objectively there, from the object, if everything is same, there's no difference, right? If everything is from the subject, then nirvana and samsara, there's no difference. You cannot distinguish between nirvana and samsara. Yes, no. Huh? Yes, no. How many of you are in the what is that? Say in the shops selling things. Maybe selling things working in the shopping malls. Huh? Okay, let's say somebody is working in shopping malls. Say you are. Each one of us, we are working in the shopping malls. And how many sweets are there? Huh? How many kinds of sweets are there? Many. Right? Okay, many. Some are cheap, some are middle, some are very expensive. Yes, no? Or from the object, if there is no difference, they should be all just same price. Yes, no? Hey, Prasangikas. if from the object there is no difference, right? One is cheap, one is expensive, there is no difference. If the object is the same, then they all should be same price. Hey, Prasangikas, give the answer. Huh? Oh. The Singapore Prasangikas, they are not too strong. Okay, if the object, there's no difference. If the object, there's no difference, right? If there's no difference in the object, then all the price should be same. Right? What makes the price different? Because the object is different. Quality of the objects are different, right? From the objects, some are good quality, some are bad quality. So because of this, the price also differs, right? So the Prasangika, look, the Singapore Prasangika, the objects are different, yes? So there's a difference in the object. Huh? So there's a difference in the object. It's not the subject. It's from the object. No, not from the object. Then from the subject. From the customer's difference. No, not the object. The object, there is no difference. Now the customers, they come, right? Then you place the 5 cent sing, the what? $1 sweet there, and then customers let them see this as the $20 sweet, and then it becomes cheaper. No, expensive. Oh, it's very complicated. How to give the answer? Okay, so the point is that okay, this is very serious matter, right? Okay, let's say samsara, nirvana. Do they exist? Not exist? Yes. Do they? Okay. The questions which I'm throwing to you to challenge you. Don't forget these questions, right? These questions, don't forget them. These questions will be like the final yardstick for us to see whether we understand emptiness or not. Don't forget these questions. And then later on, okay, you may revisit the recordings, right? That way, then say as you understand the emptiness becomes more solid, more grounded, then you try to listen to these questions, how to give response to these questions, where with ease you should be able to solve the questions, not draggery. It should be with ease. Okay, now the point is samsara nirvana exists. Samsara nirvana exists, not exists? Yes, they exist. What is samsara? Samsara is where the involuntary pull and push happens. No freedom. Lack of freedom. Right? Oftentimes, nirvana is referred to as the total freedom. Samsara is lack of freedom. What is lack of freedom? Involuntary pull and push. Okay. Involuntary pull and push. Right? Okay. Now, say It says, okay, first let's read what is written there. Stanza 13. If ultimately someone is released in nirvana and conventionally is circling in samsara, right? Okay, we spoke about what? Ultimate analysis and conventional analysis. Okay, say we are all, say you are somebody who is watching a samsaric being and a non-samsaric being. Somebody who is enlightened and a samsaric being. You are watching these two persons. You getting it? Okay. So now, when you observe these two people, when you observe these two people, samsaric one and the enlightened one, you're observing these two people. You have to use your mind to observe it. Yes, no. You have to use your mind. And the mind should be either conventional analysis or ultimate analysis. Yes, no? Hey. Did you hear it? Did you learn this before? Yes, in this class, right? Okay. Say the mind that you are employing to observe the samsaric being and the enlightened being, that mind should be one of the two analysis, ultimate analysis or conventional analysis. If you employ, it's up to you. If you employ ultimate analysis, what are you going to see? Samsaric being, you'll see the samsaric being? No, you see you see, if you don't see samsaric being, then you see the fear. No, right? So that is, if you don't see the fear, it's the absence of the fear. Absence of fear is what we are all expecting, what we are all seeking. You're getting it? So if you employ the ultimate analysis, you see the samsara being dissolves. The fear dissolves. You're getting it? When you employ the what? Oh, wow. Very strong. Thank you. Okay. When you employ the ultimate analysis, then you see what characterizes the samsaric being? Fear. In loss of freedom. So loss of freedom dissolves. Fear dissolves. The absence of fear is what we are all seeking. Everyone is seeking that. You're getting it? So this state, which we are all seeking, is what you can see with the help of the ultimate analysis. You're getting it? So what you see from the ultimate analysis point of view is known as the ultimate truth. So in this ultimate sense, we see that the fear dissolves. So this is known as natural nirvana. Right? Natural nirvana. This is known as natural nirvana. When you see the fear dissolves in the eyes of the ultimate analysis, that is known as the natural nirvana. And who has this natural nirvana? Buddha. What about what about us? Okay. So the Dr. Dorji is saying that Dorji. Okay, Dr. Dorji is saying that we all have this natural Buddha, natural nirvana. Very good. This is the true. Because somebody can look at you through the ultimate analysis and that person will see that your fear dissolves. You getting it? So we all have this experience. We all have this, not experience, we all have this state. The state of the freedom of fear in the eyes of the ultimate analysis. So this is not exclusively with the Buddhas, it is with all of us. We all, in other words, we all have this natural nirvana. You're getting it? Natural nirvana. Okay, so it says natural meaning in the ultimate sense, fear is not there. In the ultimate sense, fear is not there. Conventionally, fear is there. Ultimately, fear is not there. Right? And who is the one whom ultimately there's no fear? Who is that person who has not fear in the ultimate sense? Who is that person? Huh? Who is that person in the ultimate sense? Who is that person in the ultimate sense? I'm qualifying this. In the ultimate sense, who is that person who does not have the fear? Everyone, right? Everyone. So therefore, don't underestimate yourself. Who is that one who is free from ultimately free from the fear? Buddha, right? If you say this, you're undermining yourself, right? So it's everyone. In the ultimate, in the conventionally, Buddhas don't have fear. We have the fear. In the conventional sense, Buddhas don't have fear. We have the fear. In the ultimate sense, Buddha don't have fear. We also don't have the fear. Right? So in the ultimate sense, we are same. Buddhists don't have fear, we also don't have fear. We also don't have fear, it's the same. But in the conventional level, there's a difference. Buddhists don't have fear, we have fear. This distinction. You getting it? So with this, what it says is, if ultimately someone is released in nirvana, so what is nirvana, right? Okay, say nirvana, either you speak from the point of view of ultimate sense or the, say, the conventional sense. You getting it? Say, fear. Fear or the misery. When you are in misery, we are in samsara. When we free from misery, we are in nirvana. Okay. Ultimately, who is going through miseries? Ultimately, who's going through miseries? Huh? No one. Very good. No one is going through, ultimately, no one is going through miseries. Which means, ultimately, everyone is released from miseries. So it says, if ultimately someone is released in nirvana, someone is released from suffering, which means in nirvana. And then how? We are all suffering. That is, conventionally we are suffering. Right? Conventionally is circling in samsara. We are in samsara where? Conventionally or ultimately? Conventionally. Ultimately, we are all released from suffering. Okay, if this is the case, then the opponents are saying, then the Buddha as well would be circling in samsara. Why? Why they are saying is that, because, what? The same point. If conventionally, beings are suffering conventionally, not ultimately. Conventional beings are suffering. Conventional means what? Subjectively, yes? Hey, conventionally means what? Objectively or subjectively? Objectively is the meaning of conventionally. Wow, this is a strange prasangika. What does it mean by ultimate as opposed to convention? Objective as opposed to subjective, right? So conventional means objective or subjective? Subjective, not objective. Objective means ultimate. Ultimately, objectively, truly, independently, they all mean the same, right? So when you say that, so what? You are distracting me. Right? Okay. So when you say the beings are suffering, where? Conventionally. Not ultimately. Ultimately, everyone is freed. Ultimately, no one is suffering. But beings are suffering where? Subjectively suffering. You agree with me? If the beings are subjectively suffering means just in your thought. Again, your suffering becomes like imaginary. Right? If it becomes like imaginary, then we can imagine the Buddha is also suffering. Right? Okay, so the same. Imagine a Buddha is suffering. How? I'll give you share one story. Say His Holiness the Dalai Lama, when he gives teachings. When His Holiness gives teachings, right? So Singapore, not all Singaporean group. Okay, this group, upstairs, downstairs, both, I really appreciate. Right? Otherwise, generally speaking, Chinese, Tibetans, they are same. How? When His Holiness comes to give teachings, His Holiness comes, right? Everybody, as though like that the next moment everybody's going to become enlightened, right? So pious, wow, praying, right? Then His Holiness begins the teaching, right? Everybody's there so attentively, right? And then slowly they become more relaxed like this. Then slowly they're busy opening the bag. In the bag, the snacks come out. And out of 20 people around this person, right? One person may be very intensely making noise, even you disturb them, right? You say, hey, you'll have to have some sweet snacks. Right? That person is disturbed. Then you spread this snacks around. Nobody's listening to His Holiness. Right? So it becomes like this teaching place becomes like a picnic spot. Yeah, it happens. Yeah. So when this is the trend, how can you expect these people to understand what His Holiness is teaching? They never listen. Mind? The first time when they were really listening, His Holiness was not teaching. He was just saying prayers. Enthused by great compassion, you taught them accurately, right? So when His Holiness teaching, they are busy spreading the snacks. How can they learn anything? Because they don't learn anything, they have no idea about what bodhicitta. They know the word bodhicitta. They hardly know the word emptiness. But he's always talking about emptiness, bodhicitta, but they never heard it. As though like these two words are coming from an alien world. Right? They never. So then, what happens when his soul is really good, moved into, say, the experience of bodhicitta, then sometimes he cries, right? He weeps because of the bodhicitta experience. When the moment his soul starts weeping, then they stop this next. They stop. Oh, something's wrong. Something must have gone wrong. His soul is crying. Something must have gone wrong, right? Okay, they are now very alert, no snakes. Again, his soul comes back. Again, he starts teaching. He overcome the weeping. Again, the snakes distributed. Then look, what happened? The next day, rumors spread. Why did his sons weep? Why did his sons weep? Because he became so emotional when he was talking about bodhicitta, unconditional love towards others. Whereas these people, the rumors spread the next day because they did not hear what his sons was teaching before he wept. Right? So next day the rumor spread that the Tibetans are not doing well, because of which his sons was sad. This is the rumor the next day. Right? Oh, everywhere you go, any household, right? Oh no, Tibetans, they are not doing good nowadays. His sons wept because of that. Okay, so what I'm saying is that, so in their eyes, His Holiness is seen as a very mundane, ordinary person. When you don't get a bread, you cry. They see His Holiness like this. They don't see His Holiness in sophistication of thoughts. Bodhicitta, wisdom, they don't see that because they don't know what bodhicitta is, wisdom, emptiness. They're busy with the snakes. Yeah, so therefore, the thing is that, say, if the beings are suffering conventional means if this is what you understand by suffering, right? Conventionally means subjectively. Subjectively means what comes to your thought, just imaginary. Imaginary, even the Buddha, people can even imagine the Buddha suffering, right? People can imagine the Buddha suffering. So if this is just an imaginary thing can become real, then even we can imagine the Buddha also suffering. So the Buddha should also suffering, right? It should become real. Okay, this is the debate put forth. So how would you give the answer? How would you give the answer? Right? Okay, my question to you. Say the opponents, they say, Buddha, is he suffering samsara? What is the answer? No. But can you imagine? Can somebody imagine that the Buddha is suffering samsara? Yes. So imagination can come. So imagination is subjective. So subjectively the Buddha can suffer. Yes? Subjectively Buddha can suffer. That is known as suffering, right? There is no objective suffering. Hey, Prasanga, what happened? Okay, so there are two things which we said earlier, right? Say, both are subjective. Imaginary suffering and the actual suffering, both are subjective. Both are subjective, but imaginary suffering does not have to follow the cause-effect relationship. Whereas the actual suffering, though subjectively real, no objectivity there, but still it has to follow the cause-effect relationship. So, where there is no cause-effect relationship followed, this is not the actual suffering. Where there is although subjectively real, but cause-effect relationship has to be followed, this is what we call as the real suffering. So the Buddha don't suffer, although somebody can imagine the Buddha suffering, but this is pure imaginary, this is not the actual suffering. Why? Because it does not follow the cause-effect relationship. You're getting it? This is distinction that we have to make. Okay. 13. If ultimately someone is released in nirvana and conventionally is suffering in samsara, then the Buddha as well would be circling samsara. What use would there be for a Bodhisattva's contact then, right? If you say the Buddha is suffering in samsara, then the Buddha is somebody as a Bodhisattva practice 6 perfections, 10 perfections, right? The practice and eventually become Buddha. Again, in samsara was the point of all these efforts. So this stanza is the opponent's challenge, opponent's question. Opponent's question. Now the next answer is the answer by the answer, response given by Bodhisattvacharyāvatāra. Okay. Okay. Now the Bodhisattvacharyāvatāra is making the distinction. We already got the answer, but then let us see how Bodhisattvacharyāvatāra is making the distinction. Bodhisattvacharyāvatāra is making the distinction, and they say from the point of view of the ultimate analysis, from the point of view of the conventional analysis. 2, right? When we say all beings are released from suffering, we are talking about that from the point of view of the ultimate analysis. From the ultimate analysis, nobody suffers, because all suffering are happening from the point of view of conventional analysis. You're getting it? So all sufferings are on the basis from the point of view of the conventional analysis. Okay, this is a little technical, but I would ask you to bear with me and try to, at least the words must come from your mouth, right? Words must come, and you should get used to these wordings, right? And then later on the thought process will follow, right? Okay, so the point is that anything that exists, right? Okay, let us put it like this. With the same object, the flower. Oh, today's a different flower. Okay, same with the same object, we can see this from 2 different analysis, right? The same object, we use conventional analysis. What do we see? Flower. With the same object, we use the ultimate analysis. What do we see? We see emptiness of the flower. You're getting it? It's the same object. Same object. So when you analyze, when you employ the conventional analysis, you see this as what you see becomes the conventional truth, because that is seen by the conventional analysis. What is seen by the conventional analysis is known as conventional truth, and what is seen by the ultimate analysis is known as ultimate truth. So with the ultimate analysis, what you see this object as? Emptiness of the flower. So the emptiness of the flower becomes the ultimate truth. Whereas when you employ the conventional analysis to see this object, what do you see? You see the flower. So the flower is which of the two truths? Conventional truth, because it is seen by the conventional analysis. Okay, this is very important. So with this in mind, it says that the Bodhisattvacharyāvatāra is making the distinction of nirvana into 2, right? Natural nirvana and natural nirvana. Okay, let us put it like this. Okay, let's say nirvana from the point of view of having freed from the point of view of being freed. Nirvana from the point of view of being freed from the natural stain, and the nirvana from the point of view of being freed from the adventitious stains. Okay, first note it down. It's very important. Nirvana, there are 2. Nirvana with respect to the freedom. Nirvana with respect to the freedom from natural stain, and nirvana with respect to the freedom from adventitious stains. Nirvana with respect to the freedom from the what? Natural stain, and the nirvana with respect to the freedom from the adventitious stains. Okay. What do you mean by natural stain? What do you mean by adventitious stain? This is the question. Natural stain. Natural stain is just a label given to the objective existence. Natural stain is a label given to objective existence. And the stains that we see, stains meaning defilements, mental defilements, which we see in us, in others, all those stains are known as adventitious stains. Right? All mental defilements which we experience within yourself, which we see in others, all these are, in other words, The mental stains and the adventitious stains, these two are synonymous. Mental stains, mental defilements, and adventitious stains, adventitious defilements, these two are synonymous. You're getting it? So, objective existence, does it exist or not? Hey, objective existence, does it exist or not? It does not exist. Natural stain, does it exist or not? It does not exist. Natural stain is just a label given to objective existence. Natural stain and objective existence, these two are synonymous. So just as objective existence does not exist, natural stain does not exist. You getting it? You getting it? Good. Now tell me, how many of our mind is totally soaked, totally immersed in the natural stain? Huh? No one. Wow. We are all freed from the natural stains. Huh? We are all freed from natural stains? Answer is yes. Don't be afraid. Right? We are all freed from natural stain. What do you mean by free from natural stain? That we are free, that we are empty of. Freed means free. Empty, no. They all mean the same. That we are all freed from natural stain. How? That we are all freed of objective existence. How we are freed of objective existence? We are all empty of objective existence. How many of you are objectively existent? Oh, all are objectively existent. How many of you, my question, listen carefully, Singaporeans. My question, how many of you are objectively existent? And you said all. Oh, how many of you are objectively existent? No one, right? No one. Okay, because that you are not no one. How many of your mind is objectively existent? None. So because no one's mind is objectively existent, all minds are free from natural stain. You're getting it? And okay, which of the two analysis will know that your mind is free of? Good. Ultimate analysis will know that your mind is freed from the natural stain. You're getting it? In other words, ultimate analysis will know that your mind is empty of objective existence. You're getting it? Now you employ the ultimate say, okay, you are here and next to you is the Buddha. Right? Now let's say you employ the ultimate analysis. With the ultimate analysis, say, okay, you say the sentient being and the Buddha, right? Sentient being and Buddha, and you trying to look at this sentient being and the Buddha. What you employ is you employ your ultimate analysis. You employ ultimate analysis. You look at the Buddha. What do you see? You see the emptiness of Buddha. You use the same ultimate analysis. You look at the sentient being. What do you see? You see emptiness of sentient being. Sentient being dissolve, the Buddha dissolve. Right? These two states, there's no difference. So from the point of view of the ultimate analysis, there's no difference between samsara, sentient being, and the Buddha. There's no difference. When do you see difference? When you see the difference, when you employ the conventional analysis. With the conventional analysis, then you see difference. That one is Buddha and one is sentient being. You're getting it? Okay. Now, what you'll be saying is that, okay, so now the point is, let's say, that from the same freedom from the fears of samsara. What is nirvana? In loose sense, what is nirvana? Freedom from the fears of samsara, the miseries of samsara. Right? Okay. Freedom from miseries of samsara. If you employ the ultimate analysis, do you see the freedom from the fears of samsara? Hey, you look at the sentient being, suffering sentient being, you look at through ultimate analysis. Do you see the suffering of this person? No. So the suffering dissolves. Oh, there's no suffering there. Right? When you employ the ultimate analysis. So from the ultimate analysis, when you employ the ultimate analysis, you see that even the sentient being, the suffering, the misery dissolves. you see that misery is not there. Misery dissolves. You getting it? Okay. So you look at the Buddha, same. Misery dissolves. So when you employ the ultimate analysis, these two are same in being freed of the miseries. You getting it? So freed of miseries. Both same. So this is known as natural nirvana. Buddhas also have the natural nirvana. We also have the natural nirvana. When is the natural nirvana the seen? When you employ the ultimate analysis. Okay. Now, when you employ the subjective, when you employ the, what is the other one? When you employ the conventional analysis, then you look at the Buddha, you see that it's free from the miseries. But sentient beings, not free from miseries. You're getting it? Okay. So, when you employ the conventional analysis, then when you see the freedom from misery, that is known as nirvana pertaining to the, what did I say? Nirvana with respect to the freedom from the adventitious stains. You're getting it? That is known as the nirvana with respect to the freedom from adventitious stains. Whereas when we employ the conventional analysis, we see that the ordinary beings, we still have the miseries. Mental defilements are there. So these, we are not free from the mental defilements. You're getting it? Okay. So one is when you speak about somebody who is in samsara, we are talking about with respect to the conventional analysis or ultimate analysis. This may be little, say, the technical for some of you, particularly for beginners, don't give up, right? Those who are giving the answers correctly and confidently, most of them already have some exposure to this before. So those of a beginner, never give up. Just pay attention to this. Just see how you can be there at that moment, right? Okay. So, when we speak about, the Buddha Shakyamuni is freed from suffering. So we are talking from the conventional point of view, conventional analysis point of view, or ultimate analysis point of view. Conventional analysis point of view. You're getting it? Okay. Whereas in the ultimate analysis point of view, Buddha Shakyamuni and sentient beings, we are all equal in being freed from suffering. Okay. Now, on the page 14. Even an illusion cannot be turned back unless the continuity of its conditions has ceased. Now, how come that the Buddhas, when you subject the conventional analysis, the Buddhas are freed from suffering and sentient beings are not freed from suffering? How come? Right? How come? How would you make the distinction? So it says, even an illusion cannot be turned back unless the continuity of its conditions has ceased. Meaning that, say, we go through suffering. Why we could go through suffering? Why? What's the ultimate cause of suffering? Self-grasping ignorance, right? Ignorance is responsible for this suffering. As long as this factor, ignorance, we don't turn back the ignorance. As long as we don't get rid of this ignorance, we'll continue to, this continuity of suffering, this continuity of samsara will never come to an end. Right? So the factors are continuously there, then the samsara will continually be there. So, how the Buddhas, they have no samsara. How the Buddhas, they have no suffering? Because they got rid of the factor for the suffering. What is the factor for the suffering? Self-grasping ignorance. So the Buddhas have already gotten rid of self-grasping ignorance. So therefore the suffering stops for them. You're getting it? So it says, even an illusion cannot be turned back unless the continuity of its conditions has ceased. So yesterday we were discussing about this. Right? We are discussing this. Say the illusion that we are suffering is also like an illusion. And there's real illusion. Right? So opponents are saying that if this is, we are suffering is like an illusion, like subjective, then it becomes like imaginary. No. Even the illusion is also not imaginary. Illusion, are they imaginary? Huh? Can I create illusion? Hey, can I create illusion? Yes. Wow. Hey, don't think that I'm a magician. I'm not a magician. Right? Can I create illusion? No, I cannot create it. Magicians can create illusion? Yes. Right? But can I create imaginary things? Can I have the imagination? Yes. I can create imaginary does not require any factors, right? Whereas for the illusion, it requires factors. It requires conditions, causal conditions. Even for illusion, okay, tell me which is the most real and which is the least real. My imaginary the cheesecake in front of me, and the magician's illusion of cheesecake, illusory cheesecake created by the magician, and the real cheesecake. Right? Of the three, which is most real? Real cheesecake. Right? Subjectively real cheesecake. Right? And what is the least real? Imaginary one. You're getting it? Okay. 3. Now, say for this illusion, the second one, illusion. So when the magician creates illusion with us, illusion, will it last forever? Or when the magician busy, right? They're busy now finishing up the magical show, now after collect the money, right? Then he will wind up the magical illusion, magical show. So at that point, all the factors are dismantled. When the factors are dismantled, illusion will also stop. You're getting it? Okay. So which means that even though things are illusion-like, but they are not imaginary. You're getting it? They are not imaginary. So, just as the illusion, as long as the factors for the illusion continue to be there, illusion will also continue. Likewise, illusion like samsara will continue as long as the factors for the illusion samsara continues. So therefore, although samsara is like illusion, but it's not illusion. It is not imaginary. Okay. Even stanza 14, even an illusion cannot be turned back unless the continuity of its conditions has ceased. Yet when the continuity of those conditions ceases, it does not arise even conventionally. For the Buddha, the miseries they stop. The illusion like misery stop for the Buddha. Why? Because the factor for the misery, which is self-grasping ignorance and self-centered attitude, stop. When they stop, even the illusion like the suffering stops for the Buddha. Why the illusion like suffering for us continues? Why? Because why the suffering, illusion like suffering that we have, which is illusion like, which is subjective, why it continues all the time? Self-grasping ignorance is always there. As long as it is there, this illusion will continue, the illusion-like suffering will continue to be there, right? As long as we don't wake up, as long as we fall under the sway, under the prey, as long as we fall prey to the dream, we will never be free from the dream. Although the dream is just illusion, still we will not be spared from the dream. So, if you don't want to let the nightmarish dream continue, what should you do? Stop this. Stop creating this dream. Stop creating this dream, right? So, the factor responsible for creating the dream should be stopped. How should you stop it? Wake up. Okay. Next. Okay, next is a complicated thing. Okay. Now, refuting the Chaitanya. Up to this point is more refuting the realist meaning, refuting the position on the same in a symbol refutation, refutation of those people who believe, who are like Vaibhashika, Sautantrikas. Now rejecting the third school, Chaitanya, which is very complicated. Okay. I like to share this with you. This is very important, right? And then you will feel the joy in studying the philosophy, right? That you will find the joy, you will find the value. Wow, we are so lucky that we are associated with TBC, we are associated with ABC. You will feel the joy. Okay, we speak about everything is like a dream. Wake up. This is what everyone who's following Buddhism with a tinge of, at least with a tinge of philosophy, will say, right? Buddha is revered as the fully awakened one. You're getting it? Buddha is revered as One of the epithets of the Buddha is the fully awakened one, which means that we have to be awakened. We have to awaken from the sleep of ignorance. You're getting it? This is what almost all Buddhist, they say people, almost all Buddhist people who are more into, say, a tinge of a philosophy, they will say. And yet, may not be so keen to go deep into philosophy. They will say, oh, the philosophy is nothing. Okay, now let's see. Why the philosophy is so important. And never give up studying philosophy. Because as you grow, we all have the capacity to grow. Right? So only you can fail yourself. Nobody can fail you. Only you can fail yourself. Only when you say, no, I cannot. I don't understand this. I cannot understand it. I'm not really made for this. The moment you say this, you close your receptivity. With this, nobody can help you. So, as long as you never give up, nobody else can dissuade you. Nobody else can stop your learning. Nobody else can stop your awakening. Right? Just keep studying. Keep studying. Whatever practice that you have, keep the practice. Do the practice on a daily basis. The study, keep it separately. And if you correlate it. If you cannot correlate, don't worry. Do your practice. And the study part, okay, for the sake of study, I'll do it. He said it once. Right? Do it like this. And then later on, slowly, you will see the wonder. The study will enrich your practice. The study will, for example, when you say, they are dissolved in the emptiness. Om Sambhava Shuddha Sarvadhamma Sambhava Shuddha Hang. Right? All phenomena, they arise, they result in emptiness, the nature of the emptiness, and I arise from this aspect of the emptiness. When you say this, what is emptiness? Somebody asked me very recently. Right? Okay, so the practice, what we have been doing, right? Renunciation practice on the basis of 4 seals, Bodhisattva practice, wisdom of emptiness, then the single point of meditation practice. It's a wonderful practice. But where is Tantra? Right? Okay, this is the question asked. Then I said, so Tantra is a different practice, right? And it's a very sophisticated practice. And it's the superior practice. Which means these 4 are inferior. Right? Okay. So with the superior, then you don't need the inferior. So this connotation. Then I said, are you really doing tantric practice? Yes, sadhanas. Okay. In the sadhana, did you ever say all phenomena are the nature of the emptiness? I dissolved in emptiness. Om Sambhava Shuddha Sarvadhamma Sambhava Shuddha Hang. Did you ever say this? He said, yes. Then I said, what are you thinking when you say everything dissolves in emptiness? From this emptiness I arise. What are you thinking about this emptiness? Nothingness? He said, yes. This is where you're going wrong. Where you don't have emptiness, all what you're doing is like a, if I'm not too presumptuous, if I'm not too bad mouth, is like a picture of a pizza. Right? The words are elegant. Om Sambhava Shuddha Sarvadhamma Sambhava Shuddha. And if you have elegant Sanskrit pronunciation, it's even more elegant. Right? But the meaning is empty. There's no meaning there. So without these, how can you possibly study Tantra? How can you possibly practice Tantra? Right? You begin the whole thing from this line. It's like a formula, E equals mc square. I say E equals mc square, it does not mean anything to me. It's 0 in my mind. The words are there, right? But the meaning is 0. So therefore, without the emptiness, then the whole Tantra makes no sense for us, right? So the words, elegant words are left, but the meaning is vacuum, right? Okay. So now with this, only if you see this, you are able to see the nuance. See the nuance between these two philosophies, Chitamatra and Madhyamika. You will find such a joy that I'm so lucky that I'm part of TBC, Geshe, I'm part of ABC, If you see teachers there, I'm so lucky to be part of that. You'll be so happy. How? Let's see. We speak about everything from the emptiness I arise into this, I arise in the form of this deity. Everything dissolves into emptiness. Okay. Om Sambhava Shuddha Sarvadhamma Sambhava Shuddha Hang. Okay, it talks about emptiness. Emptiness of what? Emptiness of objective existence. You getting it? Emptiness of objective existence means everything exists subjectively. You getting it? Okay, now look. Everything exists subjectively. What do you mean by everything exists subjectively? Even some of the acclaimed professors teaching Buddhist philosophy, they're confused between what does it mean by the subjectivity, emptiness of objectivity, subjectivity. Okay, tell me. Madhyamikas, Prasangika, Savatantra Madhyamika, it doesn't matter, let's say Madhyamikas, right? So, they speak about subjectivity, that everything exists subjectively. Yes, no. Yes, no. Yes. What is the third school? Chidamatra, mind-only school. Mind-only school says that everything is the nature of the mind. Yes, no. Everything is the nature of this subjective mind. Yes, no. Getting it? So Chidamatra says that everything is subjective. Because everything is the nature of mind. Madhyamika is saying everything is projected by your mind, is subjective. Both schools say that everything is subjective real. You getting it? Yes. Okay. Is there a difference in the subtlety of what they mean by subjectivity? Is there a difference in the subtlety between what they mean as the emptiness of objectivity? Is there a difference? No difference. If no difference, you have not understood the Madhyamika's emptiness, let alone the emptiness of Prasangika. Right? So people get mixed up between these two things. They cannot distinguish what Chidamatra are saying when they say everything is the nature of this subjective mind. Everything is just mind, like a dream. And Madhyamikas, when they say everything is coming from your mind, they cannot make the distinction. So only when you make the distinction, wow, this distinction, without this distinction, how can I possibly meditate when I say Om Sambhava Shuddha Sarvadhamma Sambhava Shuddha Hang, right? Or everything is the nature of the voidness, the emptiness. And this emptiness is this I. Take the pride. Assume the experience of the pride on the basis of this experience of emptiness. So, without emptiness, how can I understand this? This emptiness, which emptiness? Taught by Prasangika? Taught by the Chidamatra? Which emptiness you get lost? So, only if you're able to make this distinction, very fine, this nuanced distinction between these two things, how the Chidamatra present the subjectivity, how the Madhyamikas they present the subjectivity, and within the two Madhyamikas, how the Prasangikas they present the subjectivity, you see the distinction, very subtle distinction amongst these three, then you'll find such joy. Had it not been the case that I met with these brilliant texts, the Bodhisattvacharyāvatāra's text, Acharya Chandrakriti's text, or Nagarjuna's text, I cannot possibly understand what is the meaning of this Sambhava Shuddha Sarvadhamma Sambhava Shuddha Hang. You getting it? Okay. So what Chidamatra also says that everything is subjective. Prasanga also says everything is subjective. Svatantra Madhyamika also says everything is subjective. You getting it? So how can you distinguish? Either you have to say all three, they are philosophically they are same philosophically, there's no difference. Right? And if you say Chidamatra is wrong, you have to say Prasanga is also wrong. If you say progressive version is the subtlest, you have to say Chidamatra is subtlest. There is a distinction there, which is so important. I'll make this distinction very quickly here. Okay, let's say Chidamatra versions of subjectivity and Prasanga's version of subjectivity is very different. Okay, say mirror. How many of you use mirror in the mornings? Okay, all of us, let's say, right? Okay, let's say we use the mirror. Right? Okay, by the way, how many of you have ever banged against a mirror? Big mirrors? Not necessarily big, even small is also fine. How many of you have banged against the mirror? Think that there's a real place there, you bang against it, right? You walked through, right? How many? How many of you? Okay, Vichan and Rita, the two of them are very honest. Otherwise, for sure there are many who bang against the mirror and you don't want to tell others, right? Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, say, why do we bang against the mirror? Why? Because, tell me, because you saw 3D. You saw there's a 3D, right? So behind there's a space there I can go. Actually it's 2D, right? The mirror is just 2D, but we saw 3D. There's a space behind that. Okay, this is misconception. You're getting it? This misconception. Now, let's say the mirror and the reflection in the mirror. A reflection mirror is 3D or 2D? Hey, you have never seen mirror. Reflection in the mirror, is it 2D or 3D? I'm not asking how does it appear to you. My question to you, what is that? Is it 2D or 3D? 2D, very good. And you can, when you see that as a 3D and you think that it's really 3D, then we could go through problems. Otherwise, right, we know that it is 2D. You're getting it? 2D. Okay, but when we see it not as 2D. It appears as 3D. You're getting it? Okay. Now look around yourself. Do you see everything as like 2D or 3D? 3D, right? So in actuality, Chitta-matra, what they are saying is your mind is like the mirror, and everything that you are seeing as 3D, actually they are not 3D. They are 2D. They are just the reflection in your mirror. Reflection in the mirror of your mind. You getting it? Chitta-matra saying that everything is the nature of the mind, meaning that your mind is like the mirror and everything else is like the reflection in the mirror. Can you imagine that? I'm not asking is it true what they say, whether what they said is true. This is not my question. My question to you, can you understand what they are saying? What they are saying is that your mind is like a mirror and everything that you are seeing, they are like the reflection in the mirror. While you see the reflection mirror, you see that as 3D, in actuality is 2D. Likewise, what you are seeing is actually they are all the reflection in the mirror, but you see them as 3D real object, external object there. External object there. So what they are saying that there is no externality there. Okay, tell me, mirror and the reflection in the mirror, is there a space distance? Mirror and the reflection in the mirror, is there space gap? Okay, many of you have not noticed that. You must go to your room tonight and see if the mirror and touch the mirror and see if the mirror and the reflection in the mirror, there's a space gap. You must see that, right? How many of you how many of you know that? How many of you are very confident there's no space gap in the two? Raise your hands. Okay, those who do not raise their hands, you look at it and tomorrow you report. Right? What's the question? Whether or not there's a gap between the mirror and the reflection in the mirror. Okay, those of you who raise your hands, is there a gap in the mirror and the reflection mirror? There's no gap. Where there's no gap, we say your mind, and there's no gap between your mind and what you are seeing, what you're experiencing. There's no gap. This is known as, when there's a gap, it is known as the mind is internal, and what is outside the mind is known as external. You're getting it? The mind is internal, and what is outside the mind is known as external. Outside makes sense only if there is a gap between the mind and the object, right? If there is a gap, then you can speak about externality. Okay, so Chitta-matra, Mindfulness School, they are saying that there is no externality because there is no gap between the subject and the object. Object is nothing but the reflection in the mind. You're getting it? Object is nothing but it's just a reflection in the mind. So there's no gap between do you see gap? You and your friends, hey, sitting next to you, do you see gap? This is illusion. according to Chitamatra. This is just the illusion. This is illusion created by ignorance. Right? This is illusion. What you see as a gap is just illusion. In the dream, okay, by the way, how many of you dreamt that you are having a class in TPC? The last few days? Oh, yes, here. Right? Okay, in your dream, did you dream of the same hall? Yes. Did you dream of people around you? In the dream, did you see the people around you with a gap or without a gap? With a gap. This is in the dream you saw, this known as in the dream you saw the people as external. External. Right? Gap between the people and your mind. When you wake up, do you see the gap, that gap within the dream? Or you see that there's no gap actually? No, when you wake up. When you wake up, the dreamer and the dreamt. With the gap, external gap, external gap. When you wake up. Gap means there is a space. When you wake up. When you wake up, it's just the mind, right? Hey. Huh? Oh yeah, dissolves. There's the gap dissolves. The gap dissolves, right? Everything dissolves. Dissolves, the gap dissolves. So there's no gap. Gap dissolves means there's no gap. Okay, so the point is that with the Chitamatra, what they are saying is what we are seeing as a gap, what we are seeing as external, this is all illusion. Right? Okay, so what they're saying is that everything is the nature of the mind, just a reflection of the mind. And the mind is your subject, so therefore everything is subjectively real. You getting it? Hey, did you understand it? Chitamatra, what they are saying is everything is subjective. How they explain subjectivity is that everything is the nature of the mind. What is the mind? The subject. So therefore everything is the nature of this subject. So therefore everything is subjectively real. Nothing really the outside. It's just what appears to your mind. This is the Chitamatra's version of subjectivity. Now the Madhyamika, particularly Prasangika Madhyamika, right? Madhyamika's version of the subjectivity. Okay, for that the example, the best example then we can think of is the movie theater. You're watching a movie here. You're watching a movie here. And you're seeing and the movie is projected from where? Projector. Where's the projector? Behind you. You're getting it? Okay, tell me, the movie. The movie, where's the movie? On the screen. Where's the movie coming from? From the projector. It's not from the screen. You're getting it? Because it's coming from the projector. Projector is the analogy for what? Analogy for subject or the object? Subject. So therefore, we see that the movie is coming from the subject, not from the object. Movie is on the object, but not from the object. It's from the subject. Right? Okay. But the movie and the movie projector, is there a gap? Hey. Good Singaporeans who never went to movie theater. Right? Okay, tell me. Is there a gap between the movie that you're watching and the movie projector behind you? Is there a gap? Yes. Gap in space? Distance in space? Yes, there's a gap. The gap is known as the externality. Right? Yet, what is external as the object? It's not from the object, it's from the subject. So there's externality there, but it's still subjective. It's from the subject. Subjective meaning is from the subject. This movie is coming from the movie projector. And the movie projector is subject or the object? Subject. So the movie is coming from the subject, not from the object. So therefore the movie is subjective. Yet the movie and the movie projector, there's a gap. You're getting it? Because there's a gap, Prasangika accepts externality. External reality is there. And yet, even the externality is coming from this subject, not from the object. You're getting it? Okay, now, for Chitamatra, now tell me. Okay, my job is done. Now it's your job. Tell me, what's the difference between the subjectivity from the point of view of Prasangika and from the point of view of Chitamatra? Tell me, anyone, very quickly. Before, yes, admin? Mike?
For the Chitta mantra, there's no externality, and for the Prasangika, there is externality.
Okay, they say for Chitta mantra, while they accept objects, all other objects to be subjective, they explain the subjectivity without externality. Whereas for Prasangika, they explain the subjectivity with externality. Right? Okay. So, anyone who likes to give example, how somebody can explain Chitta mantra's philosophy of the subjectivity with the absence of externality? What example would you give? Anyone? Mirror and the reflection in the mirror. And what about the analogy for the Prasangika's version of this subjectivity with externality? Movie and a movie projector. Or any other example? And many people, they complain when I try to be a little creative and give some modern day examples. They say that, but at the time the Buddha, the movie projector is not there. Right? So what examples the Buddha must be using? These questions are coming up. It's very complicated. Okay, can you give some more examples so that later on I can account for those people? Anyone? Huh? Okay. Dream is more Chitta mantra example, because dreaming mind and the dream, these two are the same nature. There's no externality.
Can it be moonlight on a lake? I don't know. I'm just
Okay, the moonlight and the water pond, and the reflection of the moon.
because the light comes from the moon and it is on the
No. Now you have to tell me. So two things. What is the mind analogous to what, and the objects analogous to what? Here in your case there are three things: water, reflection in the moon. Three things.
The water is as if like the screen.
Screen. Yet the mind, then the
The water as in like the screen.
the screen.
Then the moonlight as the projector of the light coming from. So subject.
So okay, that's creative. Okay, the reflection of the moon. What you have to say is the reflection of the moon and the moon. Reflection of the moon is on the water body, not in the sky. Reflection of the moon is on the water body, but this reflection of the moon is coming from the light of the moon. Beautiful. Any more examples? Any more examples? Any more examples? Okay. So we have to think of more examples, right? So can you think of some examples tonight? If you can, think of some examples. Example for what? Example for the Prasangika's version of subjectivity, where the subject and the object, where the object is coming by the part of the subject, there is a gap in distance. Right? So examples, more examples, I hope. Okay. Okay, very good. Say the torch. Let us not say torchlight. Torchlight fallen on the flower. Torch, any object. Say the torch, you want to see a garden. You want to see a flower in the night. So the torch and the light fallen on the flower. So that light fallen on the flower is coming from the torch, but it is on the flower, not on the torch. This is beautiful. Okay, good examples are coming up, right? So we still think more. So the thing is, as you think more, what is happening is that your mind is being activated. As your mind is being activated, right, then with emptiness is not a passive state of mind. Wisdom of emptiness is never passive. It's a very, very, very active state of mind. While you just sit like this, it is so exhausting when you do it initially. When you initially get to this, the understanding is very exhausting. It consumes lots of energy because it consumes a lot of, say, mental energy to get it, because this object is so subtle, very difficult to get it, right? Okay, so the mind should be very active, right? So this activity of the mind, we cannot expect, right, suddenly coming. It has to be developed over time. Okay, we'll stop here. Dedication.